the question mark. Hi, everyone. I'm Efren. Today's guest, Hut and Hut. She is a YouTuber and fitness enthusiast. She is a Les Mills tone, core, and body combat instructor. Hoorah! Her father, who was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004, was the official spokesman in the 1980s and 90s for G.I. Joe, a real American hero. And he is a former World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, headlining SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania 7 against Hulk Hogan. Please welcome the daughter of the one and only Sergeant Slaughter, Kelly Slaughter. Kelly, welcome to the question mark.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is an honor to have you here. In my hand are 20 questions that, if you answer truthfully, will have us fans marking out. Are you ready?
I am ready.
I am the mark. Here are the questions. It's time for the question mark. Kelly, you're hosting a pay-per-view party at your house. What's the one food or drink you're serving for everyone to enjoy?
Cocktail meatballs.
Tell me more.
It's the easiest thing. It feeds a lot of people. Everyone loves it. You can home make your meatballs or you can buy frozen meatballs, but you take your frozen or your homemade meatballs already made, put them in a crock pot with some grape jelly and some chili sauce. You can throw in a little hot sauce in there if you want. Turn the crock pot on and fix it and forget it.
Dad, a fan of the cocktail meatballs?
He is a fan of the cocktail meatballs. Now, if my dad is hosting, the first thing that he's going to make sure is on the menu is rumaki. I don't know if you know what rumaki is.
I've never had it. Tell us.
Well, in the slaughterhouse, rumaki is whole water chestnut that has been marinated in teriyaki, wrapped in bacon, and then cooked in the oven.
That's the best menu we've had yet on the question mark. When was the last time you made the meatballs or rumaki?
It's probably been a year since I made rumaki. I think I made it last Christmas, or New Year's. And then cocktail meatballs I made a few months ago, when I went to a party. That's what I brought.
We need to invite Kelly Slaughter over to our house for our next whatever. My goodness. Kelly, earliest wrestling memory?
Oh man, my earliest wrestling memory has got to be when my dad wrestled the Iron Sheik in the Poconos at a family wrestling event. And it was traumatizing. If you've seen the documentary about my dad on A&E, you've seen me talk about it. It's probably why I remember it, is because it was so traumatizing. So, Iron Sheik and my dad were wrestling, and Iron Sheik came out first and, was working the crowd, and my sister and my mom and I were in the crowd. Again, it was a family show, at like a resort in the Poconos, and he had a weapon of some kind, and ended up being a knife, and he would put it in the trunks, in the top of his shorts, or his trunks that he would wrestle in, and everyone would be yelling at the ref like, it's in his trunks, it's in his trunks, and the ref would be checking his boots for it, and then he'd turn around and take it from his belt and put it in his boots, and then the ref would check his belt for it, or his trunks for it, and wouldn't find it. So this went, back and forth. And my sister and now I was maybe 5 years old, and my sister's 4 years older, so she was a little older. We were freaking out because here's this man who we knew that he was like a family friend, and he's getting ready to kill our dad right in front of us with a knife, that the ref can't find. And but we all know it's there. And so they wrestled, and I think probably the first time Sheik hit my dad, my sister and I just lost it and started hysterically crying. My mom jumped. We were sitting at a table with a candle in the middle, like a crystal candle, and my mom literally jumped over the table, knocked the candle off, and everything, and like laid her body on top of us so we couldn't see it. And when the match ended, my dad won. And when the match ended, he was walking out, working the crowd and doing his whole thing. And my mom had taken my sister, and she was going to take both of us backstage, but I was like, I want daddy. And so I like ran over to where he was walking out. My mom took my sister backstage, and I don't know how I got to him, but I got to him, and I like was pulling on him, and he looked and saw me, and he grabbed me and walked me through the curtain. And that time my mom had made it backstage with my sister, and she was standing on the other side of the curtain with my sister like this, going,
Do you have memories, good, bad? You said Sheik was a family friend. What do you remember about him as a kid?
So, well, I don't really remember a lot before that because this made such an impression
Sure.
on my mind.
Mhm.
But I knew he was a friend. My sister, I feel like, remembers him a little bit more because he used to read to her when she was little. Um, my dad and Sheik, both lived in Minnesota. Sheik worked for my grandfather's roofing company with my dad, and they were good friends. So they worked, they started in the business together pretty much.
Did you hear any later road stories about your dad and him in the car when he got a little more out of
Oh,
control?
yeah, lots of stories, but they really weren't around each other a whole lot and where the public could see them because, kayfabe. But they did, and they did have some good stories. My dad has some very good stories from the road, for sure. Him and Roddy Piper, really good stories.
So I was going to say this till the end. One of my great memories of your father is being at one of Roddy Piper's earliest comedy shows when he was just trying to get it out. And he took 10 minutes out of his 45-minute set to praise your father. Just,
Oh, wow.
it was just stopped. So there's Bob Remus, and I'm going to tell you what a great friend he is, this and that. And just went on and on. Dad stood there or sat there, smiled, took all of it. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Roddy, I called him Uncle Roddy.
Let's
So
go. What do
he's
you remember? What can you tell us about
very
Uncle Roddy?
friend.
We would love a story about Roddy.
Oh, um, I mean, he just had a larger than life personality, and he loved my sister and I. So anytime that we would get a chance to see him, we wanted to see him. And there was one time, this is kind of a boring story, but my dad was leaving, and I was like, "Where are you going?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to go meet Roddy at a restaurant in, whatever town it was in Connecticut where we lived." And I was like, "Well, can I go?" And he was like, "Yeah, you can come." And so he brought me along, and I went, and we just had dinner and hung out and talked, and he and my dad talked. And but he would give me this huge hug. And when I was little, he would pick me up, and then I got bigger and he couldn't do that anymore. But just a normal time.
That happens when you grow up. Kelly, you can be front row at any event in wrestling history. What event is it?
Any event in wrestling history? I know. Okay. When you probably know, so I'm not really a big wrestling watcher. I don't watch a lot of wrestling. So I don't know what it was called. So if you're a wrestling person, you probably know, but it was the first ladder match between with the Hardy Boys.
The TLC or tables, ladders, chairs.
Well,
Okay.
it was on WWE, and it was it was maybe in 1999.
Okay.
It was when my dad was commissioner, because when I believe he was maybe it was before he was commissioner. It was around late 90s, because I went backstage with my dad and I saw Matt Hardy and I talked to him and I told him that that was the most amazing match that I'd ever seen in my life, and the that it was like acrobats, and I couldn't believe it, and that my dad really enjoyed the match too, and he didn't care that I liked it, but he was really happy that my dad liked it.
The only time was it the only time you talked to the Hardys? Did you have a relationship with Jeff and Matt?
Um, I think I met Jeff, and I talked to Matt, the story I just told and everything, but that was pretty much it. I never like hung out with them or anything. My dad tried to keep my sister and I away from the wrestling world.
After that Poconos match, do you remember the argument that mom and dad might have had?
I don't remember the argument. Um, I
Was
just
there
remember
one?
my mom being like, "What is wrong with you?" And they didn't argue in front of us. So whatever arguing they did, was done behind closed doors when we weren't around and couldn't hear them.
Was
So
your mom a wrestling fan?
no,
Mm-hmm.
my mom was not a wrestling fan. Um, she, I mean, like her brothers were, and my grandfather was, but she wasn't really into wrestling. And so when my dad, my parents met when they were in high school, and my mom, and they married right after my mom turned 18. And um, my dad came home one day. He was a roofer and a barber. And that's who she married, was a roofer and a barber. And one day he came home and he said, "I just had the coolest experience at the barn, at Greg Gagne's barn. And I went with a friend of mine and, to check it out. And they asked me to get in the ring. And I think I want to be a professional wrestler." And my mom was like, "The hell you say? No, you are not." And he was like, "The hell you say? Oh, yes, I am." So she wanted her husband around. That's not the life that she pictured when she got married to him. And he had never really expressed interest in being a wrestler before that, I guess, because it wasn't on her radar. So yeah, I think she resented wrestling a little bit because it took him away from her and then later on from us.
When the GI Joe stuff happened, how was it for you as the daughter of Sergeant Slaughter, GI Joe, Real American Hero?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like cool, but not that cool because it was my dad. So, like, it's like if it was someone else's dad, you'd be like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome." But when it's your own dad, you're like, "Oh yeah, whatever. Good job, dad." I did think it was cool. I brought his GI Joe to his first one to show and tell when we had moved from North Carolina to Connecticut. And it was like the first show and tell that I had at my new school. And I brought this GI Joe figure and I held it up and I was like, "This is my dad." And it was complete crickets. The kids didn't care. There was no wow or anything like that. I
Not
think
one, huh?
one kid just said, "Your dad's plastic." I mean, that was literally the reception I got. And I was like, "No, this is like my dad's action figure." I probably called it a doll. I was like, "This is my dad's doll. This is him. Like he plays this guy." And no one cared.
Didn't work. Hogan or Flair?
Oh. So I always play this thing where I'm like Hogan's bad because his my dad's rivalry. And Ric Flair actually is lives in Charlotte and is from Minnesota, and I think he and my dad trained together a little
Hmm.
bit. So that's a hard one to say, but I'm gonna go Hogan. Ah, I can't believe I just said that.
Why?
Because I'm no bad Hogan. No, I don't like Hogan. Sergeant Slaughter, yes. Hogan, no. I gave my husband a really hard time on our second date. He showed up to my house wearing a Hulkamania shirt. And, my dad and him had this major rivalry. And so I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you wear that to my house? Like, just like kind of joking around, and
Right.
being like, why would you wear that to my house? Like, what's wrong with you? Take it off. You cannot, if you want to come in here, you have to take that off. And he did. He took it off. And then later we talked about it because I thought he knew who my dad was, but he didn't know who my dad was.
Oh.
So at the time, I just looked like some crazy person, like wrestling fan that did not like Hulk Hogan and was not a Hulkamaniac. And I was totally just like ribbing him and giving him a hard time because he was wearing a Hulkamania shirt and he wore it to Sergeant Slaughter's daughter's house. Like, why would you do that? Um, yeah. So that's why I'm like, I can't believe I just picked Hogan.
How did the rest of that date go?
Well, he took his shirt off and it was fine.
You can
We
stay.
did get married, so
How long have you been married?
we just celebrated our 17th wedding anniversary.
That's awesome.
We've been together for 21 years.
Hogan or Savage?
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Savage because snap into a Slim Jim, baby.
Were you at WrestleMania 7
I was
when
not. I've
you
never
were
been to WrestleMania.
Kelly? What's the one piece of wrestling memorabilia that your partner wants you to get rid of out of the house if you have any?
If it were up to my husband, I would have a whole room full of my dad's memorabilia. So there's nothing that my husband wants me to get
Nothing
rid
in
of
the
that is
house.
wrestling memorabilia. Nothing that's wrestling memorabilia. There's stuff of his I want him to get rid of, but
What one thing do you want him to get rid of?
he has like, I don't even know what it is, but it's like a buffer. It's on a stand and it's got these like things that come out of it. I'm very technical terms here. And it spins both sides and it's got like a buffer material on it and it just buffs things.
Kelly
He
doesn't want a
has
buffer in
never
the
used
garage.
it and it just sits there and it's been sitting there and it's like in the way. And there's so many things like that in the garage that he never uses and will never use. And I would love to be able to park my car in there. I've never ever been able to park my car in there. Yeah.
Kelly, best moment in your wrestling fandom? Any of the big matches? First off, you weren't a wrestling fan even back then, right? What
I mean,
what
I liked wrestling when I was a little girl because it was what my dad did. Like once I didn't always know my dad was a wrestler. My dad was a wrestler since before I was born,
mhm.
but I didn't always know he was a wrestler. And when I found out that he was a professional wrestler, I thought it was the coolest thing and I would watch his stuff, like the films and things on TV and all of that. Um, I was like obsessed with it because I loved my dad and that's what my dad did. And probably, psychologically, like this is what was taking him away from us all the time. So I wanted to know what it was that was taking him from us. Um, and so I loved it and I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And but I didn't want to be one of like the divas or anything like that or on Glow because that's what was around when I was little. It was Glow, and then in WWE they had or WWF at the time, they had managers that were women. There really weren't a lot of female wrestlers. And so it was like you were either arm candy or it was like this glorified, like farmer's daughter, very campy. And I'm not taking anything away from the female wrestlers of that time. They did a very good job with what they were allowed to do and what they were given and told to do. Um, they worked very hard. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do what my dad was doing, which was wrestling the boys, being taken seriously. Like I wanted to kick the men's asses. And my dad was like, "No, you're not going to be a wrestler. I don't want you to be a wrestler. The wrestling life is extremely hard. I don't want that for my children, and especially not for you." And so he never encouraged me to be a wrestler. My mom definitely did not encourage me to be a wrestler. So it just kind of like died out. And then after, it might have been around the time of G.I. Joe when he was out of WWE. He left WWE to do G.I. Joe and he was doing all the independent circuits. And that's kind of when I got a little bit more into it. And I would try to watch wrestling. And my dad would walk in and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching wrestling. I want to watch you wrestle." And he's like, "Well, I'm not on that show. So turn it off. You're giving them ratings."
And were you a
And
China fan then?
so when China came out, I was like, that is what I wanted to be doing. That right there. Um, but at that time in my life, it just wasn't, I wasn't into fitness yet, and there was no way that I was wrestling back then. So, um, but yeah, it just, if I was watching it, I was the only one watching it because my dad generally wasn't home. If my dad was watching it, he was watching it like to watch matches and to like study it. Like, so me watching it with him wasn't going to happen because he's rewinding it and watching things over again. And I'm like, just watch it, dad, So my sister wasn't into it. It was violent and my sister didn't like violence. And my mom wasn't watching it either. So there really wasn't anyone for me to even watch it with. So I just, it was part of our lives, but in a different way than it was for other people. And
Right.
so that's probably also had a contributing factor as to why we really didn't watch it.
If he didn't want you being the girl who was wrestling like him, was he a fan of people like China?
It wasn't necessarily wrestling like him, it was just wrestling in general. Like he didn't
Right.
want me to wrestle, whether I was wrestling other women or if I was going to wrestle the men. Like he just didn't
Okay.
want me to wrestle, but he loved China. He adored China. He um he set up China's Playboy. Um,
Really?
yeah, as the story goes, he's told the story that they were at the Playboy Mansion and my dad was like talking to Hef and being like, "Hey, what about China over here? Wouldn't that be a good centerfold?" Or something along those lines. It's out there. He's talked about it before.
Greatest autograph you have in your collection?
I don't know if it's because I'm the daughter of a celebrity, but I really don't ask for autographs from people. I've met a lot of wrestlers, haven't got a lot of their autographs. I'm trying. Oh, okay, I have. This is kind of cool. I have a signed script from Beverly Hills 90210
Oh,
that my dad won in an auction at a charity for me, and it's signed by all the cast members.
favorite character on 90210?
Favorite character? Well, I mean, me and Dylan were gonna get married.
Me and Dylan were also going to get married too. Do you have a favorite
Dylan
episode?
was, um, so I feel like I loved all of the episodes, and when you watch them back now, you're like, what is happening right now? I liked this. Like, what is going on? Um, But what the first thing that came to my head when you asked the question was when Dylan and Brenda first meet and
The
he
first
comes
time.
out from underneath the car. Yeah, yeah.
Kelly, you're entering the restaurant in heaven, and your favorite wrestler is sitting alone but wants company. Who is it, and what are you going to talk about?
So, okay, I have questions before I answer this.
Sure.
Is this like I die of old age, so it's like later on in the future that I'm dying as an old lady, so like my dad's already dead and my dad's already in heaven? Or is it like I were to die now and my dad's not there
The person the person that we are talking about is no longer with us at this moment.
at this moment?
Mhm.
Um, Probably Roddy Piper.
He has been the most popular answer on this question.
Really?
Yes. Uh, from people who have didn't even meet him. And what would you talk about?
Life.
Yeah. I rarely try to make these shows about any stories I have, but I had three bucket list things on my list in life, and the third one was to get a kiss on the cheek from Roddy Piper because he used to kiss everyone, and it was because of that moment where he just stopped his comedy show and talked to your dad. I go, man, I got to make this happen. And so
Yeah.
we all waited for 45 minutes. And then the manager of the comedy club came out and said he's left. And so we all started leaving. And I found out later he hadn't. And 15 minutes later, he came out and did whatever with everyone. So
Oh,
yeah,
what?
missed it. So
That sucks.
very, very happily jealous that you are one of the people that got to spend time with Roddy Piper. What one
He
wrestler in his, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
I was just
please
gonna
go.
say that um Roddy, you had asked me like one of my favorite moments with Roddy,
Yeah,
and I answered that, but I want to give a second answer to that question, if you don't mind.
please, please.
Um, he inducted my dad into the Cauliflower Alley Club Hall of Fame, and it was in Vegas,
Vegas.
and I got to go. Because I got to go to Vegas. My dad let me and a friend of mine went with me. And so I got to sit with Roddy during the whole ceremony. And so he sat next to me and we ate dinner. And then my dad was inducted. And then later on that night, we were hanging out in the like the hotel bar and just sitting there talking to him. And I think he he had such a good personality and just larger than life. And um I think that that's why the answer to that question is Roddy Piper. Who would you have a conversation with? Because he was such a good storyteller and he was funny. And even though like he was a heel, he was still funny, and he was just an amazing person with a great personality and a great heart, and he cared about people. And yeah, it's a shame he's no longer here with us, that's for sure.
Were you friends or close with his children?
I met his children a few times, but not all of them, just like the oldest ones. And they were just, I mean, they were younger than me, and one of them was just a baby. Um, so there's a story. My dad tells it so much better. The story about they came to our house when we lived in Charlotte, and it was Kitty and Roddy and their two kids, and they put the baby to sleep, and they like told me I was 4 or 5, and they told me like leave the baby alone. It's not a doll. Like the baby's sleeping, so just if the baby wakes up, come and get one of us. Well, the baby woke up, or I woke up the baby, and I picked the baby up and carried it downstairs to where they were sitting and hanging out. And they were like, "Oh." Hey, give us the baby. You walk downstairs with the baby, you know, and I probably wasn't holding the baby like you're supposed to hold a baby. I was probably holding it like this, like a doll, like under the arms, like, here you go, here's your baby. If I had known I was going to tell that story, I would have asked my dad which baby, like which kid it was. Um, but I guess you can figure it out knowing
Okay.
like his kids. I can't remember if his son was born first or his daughter. And then
I
I think Ariel, isn't that the youngest, Ariel Teal? I think that's the
don't
youngest.
remember.
I don't think I met her.
What one wrestler in history do you think smelled the best?
Um, well, to be honest with you, my dad smells really good, so I know that my dad is that I will answer my dad. But The Rock, I feel like The Rock would smell really good too.
What one wrestler in history do you think smelled the worst?
Um, I don't know.
Do you remember ever getting a whiff of the couple of times you were about like, oh my God, this guy smells horrible?
No,
Hmm.
I
Okay.
don't. Who gets really sweaty?
The
Like,
we've had a talk with Lacey Traylor about her father, and we've had Big Trouble Ben Bishop on discussing hygiene for bigger men in the ring. Do you remember your dad taking extra precautions in terms of hygiene before he got in there?
that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he made sure he was clean.
Right.
I will, I'm not going to say who it was, but I do remember being backstage and like standing near where they had the locker rooms, and a wrestler came out with baby wipes, and he was like, "Gotta do what you gotta do to be clean." So I know that they make sure that they're clean after they go to the bathroom and things, but
And you won't mention
um,
a person.
I'm not going to say who that was.
Okay.
It's a very
Okay.
famous one, and I'm not going to say who. That still wrestles.
That's
So,
still, I will, okay. Favorite wrestling movie or movie with a wrestler?
Princess Bride.
Excellent. Did you,
That is my favorite movie of all time.
there we go. Did you meet Andre?
I never got to meet Andre. My mom met Andre. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him. I would have loved to have met Andre. I wish that I had.
Did she, she have any story that sticks out about him
Yeah, so they went to his farm and or his ranch, I should say.
in North Carolina, right?
I believe so.
Hmm.
And she went to go to the bathroom, and everything was made for Andre. So it was Andre size. So everything was super size. So the toilet was really high up, and my mom is very short. She's like 5'2". And so she had to like jump to get on the toilet. And then she said that the the handle for like the faucet was like huge. She had to use like two hands to like turn the faucet on.
That's a great story because this was that type of custom built whatever was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
Because you hear poor Andre had to, had problems in the restroom on the plane and overseas, and that.
Yeah.
And Andre said it was
Good.
Princess Bride was the best part of his career because
Mm,
everyone treated him like he was just one of the guys. Oh, you love Princess
I
Bride?
love that.
That's
I
awesome.
love that. I love Princess Bride. So when I got married in a castle, which was not the original plan. The original plan was to get married at my dad's house and have a very small wedding. And then I started looking at caterers near where my dad lives, and the castle popped up. And I was like, I can get married in a castle and I don't have to like leave the country. Are you kidding me? But anyway, so I got married in a castle. And when my dad walked me down the aisle and he went to give me away to my husband, he turned and he said, "Are you sure about this?" And I'm like, I mean, I'm at the end of the aisle. yeah. And
Perfect.
he said, and so I went, and we're holding hands, he's got my hands in his hands. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, I'm sure. And he goes, as you wish. And then he gave my hand to my husband. Yeah.
You talked about Minnesota and your dad and you. Did you ever meet Vern?
If I ever met Vern, I probably didn't know the significance of who I was meeting. And that happened a lot. Like my sister and I would meet people, and then later on, my dad would be like, "Do you know who that was?" And we'd be like, "No." And he'd be like, "That was Christopher Walken, the actor." Like, we were like,
Ah.
but yeah, I probably, if I did meet him, I was probably very little and young and did not know the significance.
Do you have any memories of Hulk? I say that because I was at WrestleMania 7.
Um, I don't think I ever met Hulk. So I don't have any memories of him. I
Okay.
think if I met him maybe one time, and it was like I met a lot of them at that time, at that time wherever we was, wherever we were, whatever event we were at, I was like meeting a lot of them and I may have met him then. But again, because I didn't really watch a lot of wrestling, I didn't really know like the significance of who these people were until I got older. And then I was like, oh yeah, I know who that is because everybody knows who that is. Like when I met The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, like I knew who they were. But when I was younger, I really didn't know who I was meeting or again the significance because it was like I'm meeting my dad's coworkers, you know. So it's like if you were meeting your parents' coworkers, would you like remember who they were and like know about them and like be hanging out with them and stuff?
Right.
Not generally. Generally,
Right.
you don't. So, you know, it was just a little different for me. But I would bring friends backstage with me sometimes, and they would be totally freaking out.
Faces or heels, Kelly?
Well, everybody loves a baby face, right? But
Not
there's
you.
something about a good heel. There's something about a heel. My dad has always said it's more fun to be a heel than it is to be a baby face, and I can totally get why that is. I mean, you can be mean and you don't have to be nice to people. If they come up to you in public, like you can just totally go into character and be like, "Get out of my face."
Did he do that?
Would my dad do that? He would never do that.
He would.
I
Right.
would.
Kelly Slaughter, greatest wrestling theme ever.
Greatest wrestling theme ever. I'm gonna go with um Rob Van Dam, RVD, and
Oh, look at that.
Pantera Walk. I heard that song. They weren't even on the same federation, or they weren't even on the same show. My dad and Rob Van Dam were they? I don't think so. Anyway, I heard this song and I was like, that would be a great wrestling entrance song, or even a UFC entrance song. And I'm like, if I am ever a wrestler, that is going to be my wrestling theme song. And somebody asked me on a show, and I said that song, and I said because that's the perfect wrestling theme song. I can't believe no one's used it before or has anyone used that before. And they were like, "Yeah, RVD." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect because it's perfect wrestling theme song." Like I'm so glad someone used it.
Who's your favorite band since you love Pantera so much? Who's your favorite band?
My favorite band is Stick Figure. No one knows Stick Figure. Okay. Stick figure is I call it Cali reggae. I think like the official term for the genre of music is American reggae or reggae rock. Um but it's reggae and it's Stick Figure, and he's absolutely amazing. He his name is Scott Woodruff, and it's funny because it's like a Stick Figure his name or the name of the band, and it's both. He is like a one man band, right? He writes up the lyrics, he plays the instruments, records himself playing the instruments, and then puts it all together and creates these songs. But then when he tours, he had to create a band, and that band is called Stick Figure. And so it's like both things. But anyway, all of his songs are like uplifting and make you feel good and make you want to be a better person. It's like listening to a self, it's like going to therapy when I go to one of his concerts. It literally is. And it's just amazing. If you listen to his lyrics and you jive out to the music, it's just a whole vibe. And Stick Figure, I love Stick Figure. The Elevators are close second. Um, but yeah, that's like the genre of music I listen to. Um, I actually, you can't see it because my name is in the way, but I have a picture of him on my shelf that somebody gave to me with his dog. So he's got Coco the tour dog that tours with him. Um, but yeah, I love Stick Figure and I love Stick Figure's music and that genre. Yeah. I actually followed them this past summer. I went to 4 different concerts. Yeah.
Did you love every
I
minute of
even went
it?
to one by myself. Hmm.
Did you love every minute of it?
I loved every minute of it. I went to a festival in Virginia Beach and saw them there. Then I drove to Charleston, South Carolina, 5 hours one way to see them. And then I drove back with my niece, my oldest niece. And then I went to Tampa. I drove down from Charlotte to Tampa, 10-hour drive all by myself so I could see them down in Tampa. It was one of the best concerts I've ever had. The Stick Figure family is amazing and we welcome people with open arms. I reached out to some people and was like, "Hey, I'm going to be by myself. Can I like hang out with you?" And they were like, "Yeah, absolutely." We tailgated. They were in the pit with me, so it was an awesome experience. Friends with them today. And then I drove to West Palm Beach and picked up my sister from the airport, and then we saw Stick Figure there together. So
I am
I
I
love
am
Stick Figure.
I am a massive fan of following your favorite artist to a couple of shows
Yes.
to get what you need. You're right. It is therapeutic. Very much so. To hear the songs you love
People don't, yes. And
on a regular
people think like,
basis.
yes, but
Hmm.
people are like, why would you go to the same show? Like, you already saw the show. I'm like, but it's different every time. The vibe is different. The way they play is like their vibe is different because they feed off of the energy of the audience. And it's always a good show. Like, it's never a bad show with Stick Figure, but it's definitely an experience. I always say it's like I'm going to church when I go see Stick Figure or really live music in general. But when it's Stick Figure, like, I love me some Stick Figure. I used to say that I don't fangirl. Like I'm like I don't fangirl. Like celebrity children are a little different. Like I feel like we don't like get all weirded out. But then I found Stick Figure, and now I totally fangirl for Stick Figure. I got to meet him one time with my sister. We went to a that's a long story, but we went to a concert in Florida together. This not 2 years ago, and it like started pouring rain in the middle of the concert, but it was like during this one song that's like a very epic, awesome song called Once in a Lifetime. And there's this one part where the music kind of cuts out and then comes right back in. And when it came back in, the sky just opened up and it started pouring rain. They played through the rain. So, like the lasers and the lights. And we were like, it's like being baptized.
What a moment.
But anyway,
Really.
the concert was over and we I didn't want to leave. Like I'm like I don't want to leave. This was such like an amazing night and um so we kind of hung out for a little bit and they came out and like shook hands and talked to people that were on the rail. And so I said to my sister, I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, I guess we can leave now, you know? And we started to walk away, and I looked over and I saw Scott walking along the rail. And so I went running over and I was at the end of the rail, and he had just turned around and was walking away. He didn't have a shirt on. And again, it rained, so he was soaking wet. And I was like, so I'm running. And I put my hand out, and my fingers went down his wet, naked back. And he turned around and he was like, hey. And he came over and talked to me. And I don't know what I was doing with my hand, but he like grabbed my hand and was like holding my hand and like talking to me. And like he fist bumped me and then was holding my hand and um just like talking to me. And I was like telling him about my experience and like how we got there, and we drove 12 hours to be there through the hurricane. And yeah, it was freaking awesome. And he sat and he listened to me, and then he was like, all right. And he just like backed up and turned around and walked away. And I turned around and my sister was like, and I have my hand like this. I'm like, I'm never washing my hand ever again. And my sister was like, oh my God, I can't believe you just talked to Scott.
You and shirtless men that you don't know, Kelly Slaughter. What's going on with that in your life, huh?
I know, you just need to not have a shirt on around me and I'm in love.
Kelly, what AEW event am I thinking of right now?
The last one they had.
No. Kelly, you can only watch one person wrestle for the rest of your life. It's not the same match, but they are in every match you watch. Who is it?
I bet you think I'm going to say my dad.
I wasn't. I thought you were going
I'm
to say
not.
someone else.
I'm not because I don't like watching my dad wrestle because he's getting hurt and stuff. So I'm gonna say only because he's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, The Rock. He's also really nice to look at. So I can watch The Rock wrestle. It's fine. Like this. Oh, okay. Ooh, look at that.
You met him, right? You met him one
I
time.
did. I
Tell me
met him
about that.
twice.
Okay.
I
Tell me
met him
about your
twice.
interaction.
He was such a nice, genuine person and very kind. And he remembered meeting me the second time we met. Um, I said something very flippant and probably not the nicest thing that I could have said to him, which I think back on now and I'm like, why would you say that, Kelly?
What did you say?
He was just like, oh, yeah, we met before, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't remember. Can't believe I did that. God. Uh, uh,
Not impressed with Christopher
awful.
Walken. Not impressed with Dwayne Johnson. I don't know. Did he have his shirt on?
He did have clothes on, so maybe
That's
that was the
why.
problem.
Yeah.
It's,
He was very nice to you.
he was very nice, and he was very nice to my friends that were a lot more excited than I was to meet him, which again, like, why would I say that? And it was like true. Like, I really was like, did we meet before? Like, I don't remember. And he was like, yeah, we met before. Oh my God. And then my dad was like, yeah, Kelly, you've met him before. And I was like, sorry, like, it's
You don't
really
lie
nothing
very much in your
personal. Like,
life, do
it's
you?
not. I what?
You don't lie very much in your life, do you?
I don't. I don't lie. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm good at lying. I used to be really good at lying when I was a teenager and like lying to my mom and stuff all the time. Like, I mean, I would come up with the best lies like this about where I was, who I was with, all of that. But then like I got older and it didn't matter if what I did because my mom, I was old enough, so it didn't matter. So it's like I didn't lie anymore and I forgot how to lie.
breakfast buffet, Kelly Slaughter, heaven or hell?
Hell. Any
Ooh, the
buffet.
first one. The first one on the question mark who's answered hell. Do tell.
Gross. I do not eat buffet at all. I don't care if it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, cupcakes, nothing. I am not eating a buffet.
What's your go-to breakfast buffet meal or breakfast meal?
Um, my favorite breakfast is eggs Benedict, but that's not my go-to because it's fancy and it takes a lot of time to make. My go-to would be like what I make all the time would be scrambled eggs and bacon, and some toast or potatoes.
Kelly, what's your favorite charity?
My favorite charity is actually a charity called VETS, and that stands for Veterans Exploring Treatment Options. It's a really cool charity. They actually work with veterans with their PTSD and other traumas, using alternative treatments such as ketamine and I can never say the word psilocybin magic mushrooms, the good ones, um, using those kind of therapies to help them with their PTSD and trauma. So I like that. My sister actually is a mental health therapist and she does ketamine treatments for people with trauma.
Talking about the vets charities, what do you remember about your father and all the veteran charities stuff that he did in his career?
So my dad has done a lot of charity work. He's done things for veterans. He also does things for a lot of children's charities too, and Toys for Tots, um, and things like that. So I remember going to the hospital with my dad to visit sick children that were in the hospital. Um, yeah, I remember doing all of those things, and my dad always wanted to make sure that we knew how fortunate we were, in the way that we lived, and that and our health too. Like it wasn't just about that we lived in a nice house and if we wanted something for Christmas, we got it, things like that. Like it wasn't just about being taken care of in material ways. It was also your health was very important, and um we were lucky in other ways besides financially.
We asked Lacey about um, Boss Man going to the hospital, and he would say he always had a shirt in the back and would just stop on the way if he couldn't be nice as a heel when he was a heel to the younger kids, it would drive him to go to the hospital faster when he got home.
Mm.
And I told her, and as I'm telling you, it must have been awesome for those kids to see Sergeant Slaughter come into their room.
Yeah.
Did your dad just always have stuff in the back ready to go? Let's go to the hospital. I'm feeling it.
He would definitely, anytime we did a charity event, he would always have, be dressed in character. But there were times where we would go somewhere and people would recognize him, and, um, they would ask him to, come and visit somebody in the hospital and things like that. And my sister became friends with a boy that my dad visited in the hospital like that, and they became like pen pals. Yeah, so my sister actually became good friends with one of the boys that my dad had seen in the hospital. Unfortunately, he passed away. He had cancer. I don't remember the kind of cancer that he had, but my sister had like a picture of him on her bedroom mirror for a really long time after that.
Switching gears, Kelly, name a job in wrestling that you haven't had, you've had none, that you think you'd be really, really, really good at.
Oh, Well, my dad says that I would be a really good manager
I would
because I can talk a
absolutely
lot of
agree with that.
shit.
I'm sorry?
Because I can talk a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
given the
think it would
opportunity, would you
be,
do it?
yeah, if given the opportunity, I would do it. If given the opportunity, I would wrestle. I think somebody actually brought this up to me one time because I'm like, I think I'm too old to wrestle. Like, I hurt myself working out. I hurt myself walking sometimes. So, like, to try to wrestle at my age is a little, crazy to think I could do that. But I think like a charity event, like a one-off where I just only have to learn one wrestling match and perfect that really well. Um, I think that would be a fun thing to do. Yeah. I would have if I I really like blossomed late in life when it came to fitness. I have recently lost 145-ish pounds, something like that. And
My goodness.
if I was like this, the way I am now and how fit I am and how into fitness I am 20 years ago, I totally would have gotten into wrestling. I would have made my dad say that yes, he would allow me to get into wrestling. I try not to do things that my parents don't approve of. Um, in my family, where my family is very important to us and we're a support system for each other. So it's a lot easier if they're on board than if I'm having to fight
Yeah.
with them over it the whole
Right.
time. So, yeah.
Do you do the convention circuit? Do you want to do the convention circuit?
I have gone to a few with my dad. Um, I don't think I'm at a level where I would ever be able to get a booth. Um, I mean, when I go with no one, trust me, nobody wants my autograph. Maybe my friends that come by and they're like,
Mm.
Kelly, yeah, sure, I'll get an autograph. Um, but no one, I mean, let's be realistic. No one cares. No one wants my autograph. I think it would be fun. I have actually approached my dad about like, you know, going and doing the whole thing with him and like being one of his handlers. But he says I'm too nice. He's like, I wouldn't make any money with you, Kelly. You'd be like, sure, you want a picture? Sure, come over. Oh no, you don't have to pay. It's just my dad.
Is there anyone in wrestling you haven't met that you would like to meet?
Well, I already said it, but Andre the Giant, I would have loved to have met Andre the Giant. In wrestling now, um, Rhea Ripley, Rhea Ripley,
What
she's awesome. I love her.
What do you love?
I love her look. I love her. Um, just from what I've seen. Again, I really don't watch it all that much, so what I see is like on my feed, and so it's just like little clips and stuff, but yeah, I think she's cool. I think she'd be fun to hang out with too.
Name another wrestling personality that you would like to see answer these questions, Kelly.
Another wrestling personality. Can I say another wrestler's child?
You most certainly can, since that's the reason you're on here today.
I think that Candy Hayes, Lord Alfred Hayes's daughter.
Oh my goodness. Oof.
I would like to see her.
Can you help make that happen?
I can definitely make the connection.
That would be awesome. Lacey suggested you and John Tenta's daughter.
Oh,
And
that was so
yeah,
nice of
so
her. Yeah. I love Lacey. She's
yeah,
amazing and she's a lot of fun. We've gone to some wrestling matches together.
maybe you and Lacey in the ring for some charity thing would be.
That that would be amazing. We already have we'd be a tag team
Oh,
and
okay.
mhm, and we'd be Law and Order.
I am on this the second we're done today. Final question, Kelly Slaughter. Describe the rest of your life using a wrestling phrase.
Hmm. Using a wrestling phase. I don't know a lot of them. At ease.
There we go. At ease marks us out here on the question mark. We would like to hear your feedback on tonight's show using the hashtag, the question mark. But first, Kelly Slaughter, I want to hear about Les Mills, tone, core, and body combat instructor that you are. Tell us about Les Mills and what you do and how we can support you.
Well, Les Mills is the name of a company that puts together a bunch of different workouts. I am certified in 3 of their formats. Tone, which is a 45-minute format. It's cardio in the beginning, and then we bring the heart rate back down and lift up some weights, and we have different muscle groups that we work. Core is a 30-minute core workout, 30 or 45-minute core workout, where you working out not just crunches for 30 minutes. We're doing anything from knee to neck, because that is your core, front and back. And then body combat is an MMA inspired workout, 30, 45, and 60 minutes. Every track is a different martial art. So you've got karate, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing tracks, lots of fun. And I get all of my aggression out. I always tell my class to think of someone that has made you mad recently, and that is who you're fighting, because it's an invisible opponent, and it's usually my husband that I'm fighting. I don't know if that's bad or good. But anyway, then I teach that at a local gym where I live. It's Les Mills is an amazing program, but even if you're not doing Les Mills, as long as you are moving, that is all that matters. You can see me I do have a YouTube channel, Slaughter Daughter. You can also find me on Facebook, Slaughter Daughter, and Instagram, Slaughter Daughter Official. I'm also on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, _SGT Daughter.
Kelly Slaughter, thank you. This has been fascinating. Thank you for joining us tonight. Wrestling fans.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor, absolute honor. We, wrestling fans, we want you to be on the lookout for Candy Hayes. Candy, you are wanted for questioning by the marks. I'm Efren at Efren Blackjack for artist JD Hoop, composer Mikey Ruckus, and all the good people here at Podcast Heat. I will see you next time on the question mark. Bye-bye.